Today was a very busy day in the shop. We got an awful lot done. We got to link up with Turbo Steve, get his job in-house for the turbo restoration 1983, and he's excited. He ate a bunch of cookies to celebrate, a bunch of muffins. And like all of the projects in our shop, they come and go, and we're happy to do these things for other people, like Steve, who's been a good friend for many years, and Lucia, actually everybody. But here's the thing today. I wanted to get a trip over to the project house where the kids are doing the end of the work on that. They got about 2 weeks to go, 3 weeks the most. And then I wanted to really make an effort at some point in the day, get a ride on a Ninja. And the way it worked out, I got everything. Yesterday was a really nice day. We went up to Luciano's, rode the FZR, got to see his Hyosung 250R, and that, believe it or not, that looked like a pretty cool bike. And I made the comment, it looks like a baby MT-09. I can't wait to take a little test ride on it. Anyway, today we got a special day. And before I can even start the day, we've got to deliver some parts over to the job site. Turbo Steve is coming over with his tank for the turbo restoration he's working on. He got the paint from Colorite. He's making up his own decals. We're going to see if we can help him out with some of that. We've done that in the past. And it should be a very eclectic day. Karen's already cooking muffins for Steve. She knows he's a muffin meister. So I'm very excited to go have my coffee and get this day underway. Now, I've been going back and forth with several people on the comments section about once you modify a bike, how you can have problems with the tuning and it gets a little unreliable. Maybe it gets, you lose some of the throttle response, and just back and forth with this exhaust and that exhaust. But I wanted to explain something to somebody because I've done this a lot. If you notice on my RD, let's just use the RD as an example. This is a good time, and I'm going to answer this in detail on the next Q&A. You notice I have the stock air box and the stock air filter. Yeah, I have pods. In fact, I have a whole bucket full of pods, different sizes and shapes. And for me, now I can only say what works for me. For me, the stock air filter, for sure, at this point in my life, and riding where I do and how I do, seems to work the best by far. Now, if you notice up on a wall, there's two other exhaust systems. If you look up here, there's two more exhaust systems. Now, the reason is, and it's pretty simple. There was a time we used to ride in Harriman Park. Noise was not an issue. And I hot rodded this bike out to the moon. And the problem is that day evaporated into COVID, which evaporated into I wanted quiet mufflers on all the bikes. And that was the beginning of me wanting to have the bikes that I could ride in populated areas. And I got a whole closet full of mufflers. Everybody that watches the videos knows. The loud mufflers, and I always think, yeah, if it depends where you ride. Now, I'm kind of forced. I found this little riding area that I like. A lot of it's populated. It's 30 miles to get up there each way and back. But you got to be quiet. If you go up there, I went up there, and it's a true story. I went up there with the R1 when it had the loud carbon exhaust that I made. And I would get some dirty looks from everybody pushing a baby carriage, and I was wondering how many of them. Eventually, it's like Russian roulette with 5 bullets in the gun. So what I did is I tried to quiet down all the bikes that had loud mufflers. But that's just for me. Now, if you're riding on a track, or you're riding in the middle of Oklahoma, I always use as an example, or the mountains of Montana, or Romania, nobody cares. Problem is, where I ride, people care about the noise. Now, not to belabor this, but just to mention, a lot of people, and this bike has been on a track for several years, and it's had different exhausts and different tuning things. But if you notice, you don't really get to see it. This bike has pods. Now, the thing that's different, when we were racing this on the track and using it, we were constantly working on it. That gas tank was off the bike more than it was on the bike. And plugs were going in it all the time and everything. But now that it's a street bike, I want to just go out to the garage, turn the key, and go for a ride. And I don't want to have any headaches. So what I mentioned to one of the people, it's got a GS, and we'll get into this in detail. I think his name was Derek. He's got a bike with pods and a tricked out exhaust, and you want to get it to run right? Well, I would always start, and Aaron had this experience too with his GS. If you change the exhaust, and you're chasing the jetting for months at a time, and you wind up spending hundreds of dollars on jets and jet kits, and by the time you're done, sometimes I wonder if it's worth it now. I've been through this, and this bike, you don't really notice it, but it has a lot of time fooling around with those carburetors. And I do have 2 sets of carburetors, and the biggest thing I have a spare bike, so just in case I do need parts. But that's the whole point. If you don't have that, and you have a bike that you're going to change the exhaust, change the airbox, change the fueling mixture, and you're not real knowledgeable about it, or you don't have a friend who is. Now, I have Luciano, and Vince is pretty knowledgeable, and I guess other people too. I don't want to leave any people out, but my forte at making a custom bike is pretty simple. I like to take a very inexpensive bike, not a high-end bike, and I like to paint it. I like to put custom wheels on it. I like to keep the motor basically stock, quiet exhaust, great throttle response, good mileage. Now that gas is $5 a gallon, mileage was never an issue until we were not energy independent anymore. But anyway, I have a formula for what works for me. I've done it to the MT-09. I've kept the motor exactly the way it came from the factory. I don't tweak it, touch it, fool with it. Bike's plenty fast for me. And for people that want to experiment and cut and chop and change things, yeah, I don't know. I hope you have a lot of money, number one, and a lot of time. But I like to keep the bike pretty stock. That's what works for me. And my GS, I have had pods on it. That didn't work at all. I've had jet kits. I've got 2 sets of carburetors. I've got 2 bikes. Again, that's always a trick if you're gonna change stuff around. And the magic formula is always, if you do anything to a bike, always be able to put it back the way it was. That's the foundation of evil twins, is being able to put it back the way it was. And my other track bike that was a track bike, the FCR, again, I've had 4 or 5 different mufflers. It has a jet kit, but it has the stock airbox and a stock filter. And I've tried many other combinations of things when we used to track day it all the time and burn it up and go on these I call them squid rides, whatever the real word is. But the trick to making a bike, if you really don't want to spend a lot of time and money, I think there's a basic trick. Keep as many parts stock as you can. If you just change the exhaust, yeah, sometimes you get away with it. Now, here's the thing. On a fuel injection bike, I made the whole exhaust for this, the carbon fiber one. This is the stock one. The fuel injection corrects for your little change in exhaust back pressure. The problem is a carbureted bike doesn't change. You have to change the jetting. So it gets more complicated. And some people want to spend that time because they want to race their best friend to the McDonald's or something. But if you're not a professional racer, and this would be my advice to everybody, if you're not, or if you just don't want to spend the money and time, the more parts you keep at a bike stock, the better in terms of the motor. Spend that money on tires and track days, and I think you'll be just a better rider. And just some of the mufflers in my collection. This is only for one of the bikes, the FZR. And the truth is, if I had the stock exhaust system with the EXUP valve, it'd probably run better. And sadly, that's a lesson you could get into an argument with people, because people do enjoy modifying bikes, and they are willing to pay the price. The only problem is, I really am caught up in the fact I like to do a lot of riding. I like to ride with my friends and ride alone. And where I ride, there's always 2 things: people, and there's always somebody with a radar gun looking to ruin your whole day. And maybe if I lived in Romania, Stefan, you don't know how lucky you are. But anyway, we're going to wait for Turbo Steve. I rambled on long enough this morning. I want to get ready for Turbo Steve. He's bringing his turbo restoration gas tank over, and then we got to go to the job site today and deliver some parts. So Steve is here. We're going to do the job site stuff first and then work on his bike. So Turbo Steve is going to set the pot on fire and make this an easy decision. We got to deliver some stuff. Oh my God. Let's go see the job site. There's anytime you have a job. Where the hell is Trinidad? Is that in South America?
It's next to Tobago.
I got to ask him.
In the Caribbean.
I don't want to say anything, but it looks like there's stuff coming out the window here. Hey, the building inspector's here. Look at this. Hey! How you doing, Elvis? Wow, you guys are really working. I got your toilet. I got the toilet. Tell the boss I brought his toilet. Yeah, I know. But just put a match. You got a cigarette lighter? I'll show you how to get rid of it. Do it my way. Get a hot dog and set on fire. Send the boss out. I got his toilet. Now you like being on Windy Videos. Don't drop it now, or I'll have insurance for the insurance claim.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we
Ladies and gentlemen, listen, you got to buy a motorcycle.
I had one.
You had one. Had doesn't count. You got to keep it.
Soft-tail Harley Davidson.
So this is what you get. Look at this. This is going to be Rob's office here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
Yeah. We're doing.
This is going to be beautiful when you're done.
We're doing cleanup today. Getting a lot of this stuff out of here. Oh, you're in.
Look at the floor in the kitchen, Steve. Elvis, you're doing a great job. I got to give you credit.
No.
Wow, that's beautiful.
That's nice, man.
Beautiful. I did this work for half of my life. I know, it's beautiful.
Yeah, that's good.
Granite's coming soon. Fridge. Oh, this is the floor. That flooring looks great. Yeah, I remember this. I did 3 houses in my life. I'm glad I'm old. I don't have to do any more. Look at it. Back deck will be nice. Coming out great. We're 2 weeks away from being done. So this is the latest in yard decoration. Instead of gnomes, you use Suzuki turbo parts. Very cute. Very, very cute.
Turbocharger right here.
The snail turbocharger. Okay.
And there's scoops, but those are in like showroom condition, so I'm not going to paint those.
Okay. So basically what you want to do, this is Colorite paint. And he had the guy really colorite it for him, so we know it's going to match. Okay, so when we go to paint this, you just want to put a coat of silver and one coat of thin coat of clear, so you can put the decals on.
This gets decals. That gets decals. That gets decals.
And this stays silver?
That doesn't get decals.
So this you can put I could put all the clear on that. Okay, that's fine. Perfect. So here's what we should do. Is I wanted to have a day I can paint the whole day. This is an all-day job. So I will have to move the paint table. You got any rust in there, or is it clean? Yeah, it's good enough.
Coating in it.
I'll mask that off though. That's no problem. And what kind of primer did you use on this? Sandable. Okay.
Well, they use black primer, Suzuki, so I figure I'll use black primer too.
Okay, but understand, if I paint this, feel this with your hand.
I know, it's rough.
It's 80 grit sandpaper. I'll sand it down and put my primer on top of this. This is a good idea that you did this so it doesn't rust. That preserves it now too.
Just so you know, I don't know if it's critical that go over black, but Suzuki primed it black before they put that on.
Okay, so pick up another can of this.
Okay.
But you know what? Here's the problem. If that's it, maybe we should paint the whole thing black. Because this, if you paint over this with silver, it's gonna look like shit. It's not gonna look good.
I could sand it with, what do you normally sand it with before you?
400.
400, okay, so I could sand it with 400.
But the problem is, as soon as you go through, you got to paint the whole thing. You're walking a thin line here.
Well,
if I paint over this,
tell me
Steve,
what to do then.
well, we can do it right now if you want.
Okay.
You know, I don't know how you got good clothes on. You never have good clothes. You're like me. No, you know what? We ought to take I think the smartest thing to do would be, if you want to use this primer. Now, I would rather not use this because I can't get this on from a spray gun.
All right.
I'd rather put a coat of black. Let me see if I got enough black. A pint of black. Sand this with 400. Put my primer on it. And put the black on, and then the silver. Let's do one small part. We'll do the fender.
The fender, yeah.
And see how that works. Because I got to put the table out and everything. That would be the smartest thing to do. You want this to be jewelry. You don't want to have. Believe me, you can't paint over that. You'll never get the paint to lay down. And silver will show those little mountains. So that silver wants to go over something that's really, really flat. And you're not rushing like you have to ride this bike tomorrow. So
No,
you got
Friday.
time to burn.
Riding it Friday.
Yeah, Friday. Okay. Karen's wild muffins going down going down better than working
Are
outside
these wild
today.
muffins? too?
These are cinnamon, apple cinnamon muffins.
So the way this played out, Turbo Steve went down to Gavin's to get some black paint because they want this color supposedly to go over black. Here's the only problem with this. This primer, it dries like sandpaper, so obviously if you paint silver over sandpaper, it's going to be silver sandpaper. So we've come up with what we think is a solution. I didn't have enough black of my own, so Turbo Steve's going to go buy a pint of black. And what we're going to do is, and some 400 paper. I didn't have enough paper to do this job. But we're going to sand this whole thing down and maybe one part at a time do a little test first of all. See, the fender has no graphics on it, so we could do the fender first. Once he gets me to black paint, I'll make a dedicated day, do the whole fender, see if it matches. And then we actually could do one piece at a time. The bodywork is pretty nice shape. The parts are in nice shape. He said some of them, like the gas tank, are very valuable and collectible. So you want to be real careful with it. And of course, when we're done with this, we want this to be the pride of the fleet. That's for sure. And I do have some Color Right thinner. You don't need to buy that. And he had this special mix. This was not one of the colors they had in stock. He said he knew a friend that lived near the Color Right factory that went down there and did some legwork for him. But so we really want to get this right, and this is a truly collectible bike, and it'll be fun working on it. But right now it looks like we're going to be able to get a ride today, at least a short ride. Then they said there's a chance of rain, but we're going to take a chance anyway. Head out. So as I get ready to leave, it was still pretty chilly out and the clouds were rolling in, but I still wanted to get a ride. There's no substitute for just getting a ride. As I get ready, you can hear the birds of spring. It looks like we'll be able to sneak a little ride in here. Now it's funny, once you go through the gears a few times and you forget all about the cold, you forget about your aches and pains, you forget about your arthritis, you forget about that sock that isn't sitting in the boot just right. It's amazing how a motorcycle, just enjoying it, all your sensories just get blocked out by the motorcycle. Now, one thing I really appreciate is the fact that because we've had a lot of rain lately and no snow, the roads are pretty much salt-free now. And we had a month of heavy salt on the roads, and I'd have an hour to clean a bike when I got home. Today, when I get home, I'm going to drink coffee and check out Steve's job. And I'm telling you, it's not as cold as it is, doesn't matter at all. Aches and pains, You get on a motorcycle, you just forget it all, and it's all total enjoyment. Now I love the sound of the Muzzy muffler. As you go through the gears, that is the nicest, throatiest of the mufflers that we have, and it's still not really offensive. Like the Norton muffler was a lot louder. I know from hearing this go by me and editing video, this is, I think, the best sounding of the mufflers. Now what's nice about this bike, because it's a 750, it's not as peaky as a 600 would be, and it's not as overpowering as the 1000cc bikes. It's a really nice balance, and the bike handles like a dream. Now, because this Ninja has a 16-inch front wheel and an 18-inch back wheel, you're really limited in your tire choices. I've done a lot of experimenting, and by far the best tires available for this bike are the Sport Demons, the Pirelli Sport Demons. Another really nice feature of this bike, it has air suspension in the back. You can adjust the air pressure in the shock. And actually, for a bike this old, this suspension, it's all stock. It all works pretty good still. That's an amazing thing. And it's a good example of how I like to personalize the bikes to my own taste. Custom wheels, custom paint, and don't screw around with the motor more than you have to, and maybe have a selection of mufflers for different places you ride. And thank you so much for all the people that leave nice comments on the YouTube channel. How much they enjoy going along on these rides. I enjoy, first of all, I enjoy doing a ride. I enjoy editing the video. And I enjoy sharing it with my friends. And it's so convenient on YouTube. checked the mileage on this bike. It's in the mid 40s. Not quite as good as the MT-09, but with this very expensive gas, every little bit helps to pay for your next set of tires. That's the way I look at it. Now, I'm not sure why. Those Sport Demons are relatively soft tires if you put the durometer on them. But they seem, well, this is not a real super heavy bike. They seem to last on this bike very nice. I'm very happy with it. One of the things I'm really critical about, and I really spend a lot of time, is getting the throttle response to be linear. This bike really is at the top of that league of having a beautiful, smooth throttle response, very, very predictable. Now this was about a 500-hour restoration, and I have a whole spare set of bodywork to make an evil twin. Actually, have the whole extra bike even. But I fell in love with this Camaro green, to be honest. In this area where I ride is so scenic, you can just, at the end of a ride, the last half hour or so, just throttle back and enjoy the scenery. It is a beautiful area of the country to ride. And after about 3 hours of sitting in that saddle, it's time to turn around and get back. I know Karen will have the coffee on when I get back. There'll be a very minimum cleanup of the bike. And this was a wonderful day. And I'm sure Turbo Steve's excited about, we're going to start on his project soon. Is my coffee ready? It's still not summer, you know.
I know it's cold out.
I see Steve left the paint here in the garage. Okay, for his project. Okay, baby, I'll be right in for coffee. Big coffee day. So Steve got the paint we need for his project. We can get started on this now. One thing good about that, having the material in-house, and the kids' project is moving along. And I got our short ride in today. Pretty cool day. So this was a pretty good day. We have Turbo Steve's parts in-house. We have the material to do the job as time's available. The kids' project is moving right along. Karen's got the coffee on. I'm not in Rikers Island. Maybe you aren't either. If you are in Rikers Island, just think, you should be out on your motorcycle. Anyway, what can I say? The plan is we're going to try to do a test piece on Steve's bike, do the fender complete, make sure we have a color match. That's going to be coming up. I still have 4 or 5 little things on the MT-09 to do. I'm waiting for those fittings for the mirror to come. There's tires to be mounted. And about a month from now, we're going to be in the full riding season where we're going to be full riding mode. I can't wait. And at the end of this day, I'm looking at Steve's parts, and I think this is going to be a really special job when we get done with it. And I know this Colorite paint is always a pretty good match, because I know he's really concerned about the match. These are the bikes, just there's a limited amount of them, and to have one that's really in mint condition will be really cool for Turbo Steve. That'll be really cool. Now, I've been leaving the link, the hot link for the t-shirts, the MT09 t-shirts, in the description part of the video. When I put it in the comments, it seems to get lost, and that was a little correction, so we're going to try to do that in the future. And of our little humble bike collection, the Ninja is always one of the bikes, and like they all are. I guess I shouldn't say I like any one more than the other, but we have had many, many good years with this bike. I've worn out a lot of tires. I've put almost 30,000 miles on it, and it's got almost 40. I think it's 38 right now. I think it had 7 when I got it, but it's just been an adventure from day one to now. It's been a great bike. I enjoy making these videos, and I really do enjoy sharing them with everybody. And so again, if you're at work and you can sneak these in, or well, please look at them on a big screen TV if you can. So if you enjoyed the video, I hope you share it with your friends. And of course, I hope most of all that we'll see you tomorrow. And thanks again for watching.